The year was 1974, Los Angeles. A quiet afternoon sun spilled through the windows of the Pacific Dragon Dojo, one of the most elite martial arts training halls in Hollywood. The room smelled of sandalwood, sweat, and discipline. Posters of classic kung fu films covered the walls, but the true magic came from the warriors who trained there. That day, a rare gathering had formed. Stuntmen, filmmakers, martial arts instructors, everyone had come to watch a private showcase of techniques for an upcoming film. But the real excitement came from two names whispered back and forth like sparks ready to ignite flame. Bruce Lee, Steven Seagal. Bruce arrived quietly, as he always did. Black shirt, relaxed posture, eyes sharp as a blade hidden in silk. He didn't come to compete. He came to observe, learn, and share. But fate had other plans. Across the room stood a young, towering Steven Seagal, 6'4", broad shoulders, icy confidence in every step he took. He was demonstrating Aikido throws on stunt performers, sending them flying across the mats like leaves caught in a storm. People gasped at the force. Directors nodded, impressed. Seagal noticed Bruce watching. A smirk tugged at the corner of his mouth. He spoke loudly, loud enough for the entire room to hear. "In this dojo, there isn't a single person who can take me down." The room froze. All eyes shifted to Bruce Lee. Bruce raised an eyebrow, not in anger, but in curiosity. He didn't believe in ego. He believed in movement, efficiency, truth. But Seagal wasn't done. He pointed directly at Bruce. "Even you, Mr. Dragon." A ripple went through the crowd. Some covered their mouths. Some whispered excitedly. Was this real? Was Steven Seagal actually calling out Bruce Lee? Bruce stepped forward slowly, hands behind his back, posture relaxed. "I came to observe, not challenge," he said calmly. "Martial arts is not about proving who is better." But Seagal stepped closer, towering over him. "Unless you're afraid." The room gasped. Bruce looked into Seagal's eyes. A stillness washed over him, deeper than calm, sharper than focus. Not anger, resolve. "Very well," Bruce said softly. "Show me." The crowd tightened into a circle, cameras lifted, breaths held. No one knew it yet, but Bruce Lee was about to experience something he had never felt before, and he would instantly regret issuing the challenge. The energy inside the Pacific Dragon Dojo shifted instantly. What had started as a casual martial arts demonstration suddenly felt like the start of a historic showdown. Word spread fast. Assistants whispered to stuntmen. Stuntmen whispered to filmmakers. Filmmakers whispered to anyone within reach. Bruce Lee and Steven Seagal are about to spar. People rushed closer, forming a tight circle around the mats. No one wanted to miss a single moment. In the middle, Steven Seagal stretched his shoulders, rolling his neck, cracking his knuckles with confidence dripping from every movement. He looked like a man who had already decided the outcome. Bruce Lee, on the other hand, stood completely still. No stretching, no posturing, no bragging, just silence. He breathed in deeply, observing Seagal like a scientist studying an unpredictable phenomenon. Bruce wasn't trying to win. He simply wanted to understand what Seagal meant by strength and dominance. But Steven saw something else in Bruce's silence. He mistook it as fear. "So," Seagal said, pacing in a circle around Bruce, "do you want me to go easy on you? Or should I show you what real power looks like?" Bruce smiled politely. "Show me sincerity, not arrogance." That line struck the room like a slap. A few people chuckled nervously. Seagal's jaw tightened. "Let's cut the philosophy," he snapped. "You challenged me. Now you deal with it." Bruce didn't respond. His eyes simply followed Seagal's steps, analyzing, studying, calculating. The crowd could feel the tension building like thunderclouds just before a lightning strike. A stunt coordinator stepped forward, raising his hand. "Gentlemen, light spar only. No injuries." Seagal cut him off. "Don't worry. I won't break him." Bruce blinked slowly. Confidence is good. Overconfidence is brittle. The crowd murmured again. Lines were being drawn, and Seagal felt them. He took one aggressive step forward, poking Bruce's chest with 2 fingers. "You talk big for someone half my size." Bruce stepped back only an inch, but that inch carried the grace of a breeze moving around a mountain. He didn't resist the push, didn't fight it. He flowed with it, which made Seagal angrier. "You ready?" Seagal growled. Bruce nodded once. "Are you?" The coordinator dropped his hand. The spar began. Seagal moved first, explosively, much faster than the room expected. He lunged forward, grabbing for Bruce's wrist with a vicious Aikido joint lock, meant to control the opponent instantly. Bruce tried to slip away, but Seagal was quicker than he anticipated. His thick fingers clamped down on Bruce's forearm like an iron trap. Before Bruce could fully redirect the energy, Seagal twisted sharply, locking Bruce's wrist and shoulder in a brutal angle. The crowd gasped in unison. Bruce Lee stumbled. For the first time anyone could remember, Bruce's balance broke. He landed on one knee, teeth clenched, eyes wide, not in pain, but in shock. Seagal leaned down, tightening the lock. "What happened, Bruce?" "Not what you expected." Bruce breathed sharply through his nose, feeling the strain in his joints. His muscles tightened involuntarily. Seagal's grip was monstrous, filled with raw power, years of joint manipulation training, and a desire to dominate. Bruce tried to roll out, but Seagal shifted instantly, transitioning into a downward wrist control pin, a move designed to humiliate more than hurt. "You're quicker than I thought." Bruce managed through controlled breath. "But speed isn't strength." Seagal smirked. "And strength isn't philosophy." With a jerk of his arm, he yanked Bruce back to standing. But Bruce felt the delay, the hesitation of his own body. The sudden realization hit him. Seagal's strength was real, dangerous, and Bruce had underestimated it. He felt a sting in his wrist, a tight pull in his shoulder, signs he never ignored. Bruce stepped back, creating distance. The crowd was whispering. Did Seagal just pin Bruce Lee? No way. I've never seen Bruce forced like that. Seagal fixed his GI collar and stepped forward again. "You done talking?" he said. "Or should I put you back on your knees?" Bruce inhaled deeply, letting the pain in his arm fade into awareness. He lifted his hands slowly into a fighting stance, not the bladed Jeet Kune posture people expected, but a neutral, centered guard. "Very well," Bruce said softly. "Let's continue." Seagal cracked a smile. "Now you're taking me seriously." The coordinator tried interrupting, sensing danger. "Guys, seriously, light spar." But neither man heard him. Bruce moved first this time. A blur, a shift of weight, a subtle change in direction. But Seagal intercepted, grabbing for Bruce's elbow. Bruce parried, but felt another jolt of force. Seagal's arms were like steel beams wrapped in muscle. Bruce retreated again. Seagal advanced, confident, predatory. "You're fast," Seagal said, "but speed fades. Power doesn't." Bruce's eyes narrowed. He finally understood. This wasn't a demonstration. This was a test of dominance. And for the first time in a long time, Bruce Lee felt himself behind. His heart slowed. His breath deepened. He whispered to himself, "Adapt. Don't resist. Flow." But even he knew, this wasn't going to be easy. The air in the dojo felt heavier now, like every breath carried the weight of the moment. Bruce shook out his wrist discreetly, feeling the lingering tension from Seagal's joint lock. It wasn't crippling, but it was a reminder. Seagal was not an opponent to take lightly. The circle of onlookers tightened. Some whispered with excitement, others with disbelief. No one had ever seen Bruce Lee pressured like this, pushed off balance, forced to step back. For most, Bruce was a mythical figure, too fast, too sharp, too refined to be caught by anyone. But Steven Seagal had just proven he wasn't anyone. Seagal paced like a wolf circling prey. "You know," he said loudly, "I expected more from the legendary Bruce Lee." Bruce didn't respond. He simply reset his stance, reading Seagal's center of gravity, studying the rhythm of his steps, measuring the size of the man in front of him. Seagal was enormous, longer reach, heavier frame, and with a grappling-centric style that punished even the smallest hesitation. Seagal stepped closer, trying to close the distance again. Bruce moved back, light as a feather. "Oh look," Seagal smirked. "Now he's running." A few of Seagal's students snickered. That sound hit the air like sandpaper scraping stone. Bruce's jaw tightened for the first time. He was never offended by insults, but disrespect toward martial arts, that was different. He spoke calmly, but his voice carried authority. "I'm not running. I'm learning." Seagal scoffed. "Learning how to avoid me?" Bruce tilted his head. "Learning how not to underestimate you a second time." That wiped the smiles off a few faces. Seagal's eyes narrowed. Big talk from someone who was just on his knee. Bruce didn't break eye contact. Everyone falls. The question is, how fast can you adapt? That line hung in the air like a spark ready to ignite a wildfire. Seagal clenched his fists. He didn't want philosophy. He wanted dominance. He lunged forward again, going for another wrist grab, this time aiming to transition into a shoulder lock that could drop Bruce flat. He moved with surprising agility for a man his size, sweeping his long arm outward like a steel gate slamming shut. Bruce barely slipped out. He felt the rush of Seagal's sleeve grazing his fingertips. That was too close. Seagal pressed forward, as relentless as a charging bull. Bruce retreated, redirecting each aggressive step with a dancer's footwork. He remained calm outwardly, but inside, he felt something rare. A flicker of caution, maybe even danger. Seagal fired a sudden palm strike. Heavy, direct, powerful. Bruce blocked it, but the force shook his forearm. Seagal wasn't polished like Bruce. He wasn't lightning fast. But what he lacked in finesse, he made up for in raw, unforgiving impact. Bruce exhaled sharply. He had to adapt. He shifted stance, from upright to low, from Wing Chun structure to flowing Jeet Kune mobility. His feet glided across the mat like he was tracing invisible lines. His breathing steadied. His shoulders relaxed. He entered reading mode. Seagal charged again, grabbing, pushing, smothering. Bruce parried the first grab, redirected the second, slipped from the third. But even so, Seagal's pressure felt like the ocean, vast, heavy, constant. And then, he caught Bruce's sleeve. Not the wrist this time, but the fabric of his shirt. Bruce reacted instantly, twisting. But Seagal's pull was explosive. Bruce spun, shoulders yanked forward. The crowd gasped. Bruce regained balance just in time to avoid being thrown. He let the momentum carry him into a roll, landing on his feet with a graceful pivot. The dojo erupted. Oh my God! He almost got thrown again. Seagal's strength is unreal. But Bruce is adapting. Look at him. Seagal smirked, chest heaving with confidence. "You're slippery," he said. "But slipping won't save you." Bruce circled him slowly. "And brute force won't guide you." A faint smile appeared on Bruce's face. Not arrogance, but understanding. His breathing had changed. His eyes sharpened. He had finally deciphered Seagal's rhythm. Seagal's methods were direct, linear, brutally efficient. But predictable. Bruce whispered to himself. "Intercept." Seagal charged again. This time Bruce didn't retreat. He stepped forward. Their movements collided. Power versus precision. Mass versus timing. Force versus technique. Bruce redirected the grab with his forearm, slipped his body into an angle Seagal hadn't expected, and tapped Seagal's ribs with a fast, precise strike. Not full power, just a testing shot. Seagal's eyes widened slightly. Bruce had touched him. Finally, the crowd roared. Seagal's nostrils flared. Bruce's posture softened into fluid readiness. And in that second, both men understood what was coming. The real fight was about to begin. And Bruce Lee had finally stopped holding back. Bruce Lee challenges Steven Seagal and instantly regrets it. For a moment, everything stood still, like the dojo itself was holding its breath. Bruce Lee had finally touched Steven Seagal. It wasn't a knockout strike. It wasn't a bone-breaking blow. But it was enough. Enough to show that Bruce had begun to read him. Enough to show that the tempo of the fight was about to shift. Enough to wipe the smirk off Seagal's face. Seagal massaged his ribs where Bruce's fingertips had landed. His expression stayed calm, but the tension in his shoulders betrayed something he'd never admit. Bruce's speed was real. Dangerous real. He rolled his neck slowly. "You think that little tap means something?" Bruce didn't answer. He simply reset his stance, relaxed, coiled, eyes focused like a hawk tracking prey. Seagal came in harder this time. No testing, no talking, no teasing. He moved with full force, long steps, heavy arms, powerful grabs that cracked the air like splitting wood. His size became a weapon, filling every angle, overwhelming the space around Bruce like a storm closing in. But Bruce was different now. His footwork grew sharper, cleaner, lighter. His guard became smaller, more efficient. He flowed instead of fought. Seagal reached for another clinch, the kind he used to break arms or crush joints. Bruce slipped it. Seagal tried a sweeping wrist control. Bruce rolled out with a spinning escape. Seagal pressed in with a shoulder bump meant to knock Bruce off center. Bruce redirected it with a pivot so smooth it looked effortless. The crowd was losing their minds. "What the? Did you see that pivot?" He's adapting to Seagal's grappling now. Seagal just keeps missing. Bruce's speed is insane. For the first time, Seagal's aggression wasn't landing. Not even close. Bruce darted to Seagal's side, flicked a quick jab to test distance, then disappeared out of reach again. It was like Bruce had become a blur. Never in the same place twice. Always one step ahead. Seagal lunged again. Bruce sidestepped, leaving only a ghost of motion behind. Seagal's fist sliced through empty air. Bruce whispered under his breath, almost amused. Too slow. Seagal heard it. His teeth grit. He hated speedsters. He hated people who danced around him. He hated being made to chase. He swung a heavy backhand, fast for his size, powerful enough to break a jaw. Bruce ducked it easily. And then, pack. A lightning-fast body shot. Then another. And another. 3 strikes landed before Seagal even registered the first. His breath hitched. Bruce had stepped inside his guard, the one place Seagal assumed no one would dare enter. He pivoted away before Seagal could grab him, gliding back to safety. Seagal staggered a step, shocked. He looked down at his torso like he couldn't believe the hits were real. Oh my God, Bruce just tagged him 3 times. Look at Seagal's face. He wasn't ready for that speed. Seagal's eyes burned. You little. He charged. Bruce intercepted. A straight lead punch, Jeet Kune-do's trademark. It snapped Seagal's head slightly to the side. Not a knockout. Not even close to full power. But sharp, precise, and humiliating. Seagal froze. The room fell silent again. Bruce lowered his hand. You felt that one, didn't you? Seagal touched his cheek, stunned. No one had ever hit him like that. Not with that kind of timing. He wasn't angry anymore. He was furious. He rushed forward with explosive force, using every bit of his weight to pressure Bruce. His arms crashed forward like battering rams. His footwork grew harsher, less controlled, more desperate. He wanted to grab Bruce. Hold him. Crush him. End this with one decisive throw. But Bruce had already evolved. He moved like water, flowing, redirecting, turning every one of Seagal's attacks into an opportunity. Seagal reached. Bruce slipped under. Seagal pivoted. Bruce spun out. Seagal blocked. Bruce vanished from his angle. The dojo felt like watching a lion chase a hummingbird. Then Bruce changed the rhythm again. He stepped in. Not for a strike. For a trap. He caught Seagal's forearm lightly, sticky hands technique, and used its momentum to off-balance him. Seagal's center of gravity wavered. Not much, but enough. Bruce capitalized instantly. A quick sweep. A controlled shove. A redirect of Seagal's forward pressure. Seagal stumbled 2 full steps before catching himself. The crowd exploded. He almost fell. Bruce is reading him like a book now. This is insane. Seagal's chest rose and fell rapidly. He had expected to dominate. He had expected fear. He had expected control. Instead, Bruce was dismantling his timing, piece by piece, step by step, breath by breath. Seagal steadied himself, sweating, furious, eyes dark with frustration. Bruce relaxed again, hands loose, body flowing like a palm tree in the wind. "You're strong," Bruce said softly. "Stronger than I expected." Seagal snarled. "And you're dead." Bruce smiled politely. "Only if you catch me." The dojo shook with the collective gasp. Seagal roared and charged again, this time abandoning technique entirely, letting raw force take over. And for the first time, Bruce prepared to counter. Not with speed, not with finesse, but with power. The moment Seagal closed the distance, Bruce shifted his weight, and the entire fight was about to change again. The dojo floor trembled as Steven Seagal charged forward like a freight train made of muscle and fury. His boots slammed into the mat, his shoulders lowered, his arms wide, ready to crush, trap, or break anything in his path. But Bruce didn't move. Not an inch. He simply shifted his weight, subtle, invisible to anyone but a trained eye. His posture didn't look like a stance. It looked like relaxation. But inside, every fiber of his body was coiled, aligned, and ready to explode. Seagal reached striking range. His arm extended, a violent grab aimed straight for Bruce's throat. And Bruce finally unleashed the power he had been holding back. Whap! A short, snapping side kick shot out like a bullet from a gun. No wind-up. No warning. Just pure technique meeting perfect timing. The kick landed cleanly on Seagal's hip, redirecting the force of his entire charge. Seagal's momentum twisted. His body spun off balance. His foot dragged across the mat with a harsh skidding sound. He didn't fall, but he came dangerously close. The crowd screamed. "Oh my God!" Bruce moved. That was a side kick. A perfect one. Seagal almost went down. Seagal gritted his teeth, fighting gravity as he righted himself. His face flushed red, with shock, embarrassment, and boiling rage. Bruce stepped back lightly, hands still loose, breathing steady. "That," he said calmly, "was just structure." Seagal roared. He lunged forward with a sweeping grab. Bruce parried it. He struck again with a backhand. Bruce deflected with a palm. He tried a knee. Bruce evaded with a pivot that looked like a dance step. It was becoming painfully clear to the entire room. Steven Seagal was powerful, dangerously powerful, but Bruce Lee was operating on a different plane. Seagal snarled, "Stop running." Bruce smiled. "I'm not running. I'm reading." He slid forward. Fast, silent, precise. Pop. A jab snapped into Seagal's chest. Pop. Another tagged his chin. Pop. Pop. Two lightning-fast side kicks hammered his thigh. Seagal stumbled backward, blinking in disbelief. How are you doing that?" he spat. Bruce answered with a calmness that felt like an insult. With economy of motion. The room was losing it. He's overwhelming Seagal now. Bruce's attacks are everywhere. Seagal isn't even seeing them. Seagal's temper snapped. "I'm going to break you." He charged, reckless and furious. Bruce did something shocking. He stood his ground. Seagal swung a massive forearm, the kind that could knock out a heavyweight. Bruce ducked. His entire body folded like liquid, spine bending effortlessly. Seagal's arm cut through empty space. Bruce rose beneath it. And then came the strike that stunned the entire dojo. A straight punch. Clean. Perfect. Delivered with the full torque of Bruce's hips and spine. Thwack. The sound echoed like a whip crack. Seagal's head jerked sideways. His jaw clenched involuntarily. His entire body tensed. The room fell dead silent. For the first time, Steven Seagal felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pressure. Pain. Real pain. Bruce didn't let him recover. He stepped in with a burst of speed that left afterimages trailing behind him. Pack. A finger jab to the solar plexus. Snap. A hook kick to the ribs. Tap tap. A double palm strike that staggered Seagal 2 steps back. The martial artists in the room were losing their minds. That's Jeet Kune trapping. He's mixing Wing Chun and street-style strikes. Seagal is getting deconstructed. Seagal panted heavily, chest heaving, sweat flying off his face as he shook his head. You think this is over? Bruce tilted his head slightly. No, he said. I think you're almost warmed up. Seagal's rage erupted like a volcano. With a guttural shout, he lunged with everything he had: strength, size, weight, aggression. His movements filled the entire mat, his arms sweeping like steel gates, his footsteps pounding like hammers. This wasn't martial arts anymore. It was brute force. But Bruce moved with the calm of a man reading poetry. He slipped under Seagal's swing. He spun behind him. He tapped Seagal's leg to break balance. He stepped away before Seagal could even turn. Seagal roared, "Stand still and fight." Bruce stopped, at the edge of the mat, just out of Seagal's reach. For the first time, he let his full presence unfold, the aura that made him a legend. He fixed his eyes on Seagal and spoke softly. "You rely on strength. I rely on understanding." He stepped forward. 1 step. 2. His body lowered, coiled, and then, boom. A perfectly timed side kick slammed into Seagal's midsection. Not a tap. Not a test. A full-power Bruce Lee strike. Seagal flew backward. Yes, flew. He hit the mat with a thunderous crash, sliding nearly a meter from the force. The dojo erupted in screams. He dropped Seagal. Bruce just launched him. This fight is crazy. Seagal lay there, stunned, gasping, staring at the ceiling in disbelief. Bruce didn't approach. He didn't brag. He simply bowed. "You are strong," Bruce said softly. "But strength without clarity collapses." Seagal groaned, struggling to get up. He wasn't done. He refused to be done. But what he didn't know was that Part 6 would bring a twist no one expected. Steven Seagal pushed himself off the mat, trembling with rage and humiliation. His breath hissed through clenched teeth, his chest rising and falling like a bull ready to charge again. The dojo was electric. Sweat, shocked faces, whispers rising like fire spreading through dry grass. Bruce knocked him down. No one's ever dropped Seagal like that. Is this fight even safe anymore? But Steven Seagal wasn't listening to any of it. His ego was wounded. His pride was burning. And his fury was blinding him faster than pain. He staggered to his feet and shouted, "This isn't over." Bruce remained still, calm, centered, breathing as if he hadn't exchanged a single blow. "Steven," Bruce said gently, "the fight is only over when you understand it." "Shut up," Seagal roared. He lunged, but his foot slipped from the earlier impact. His balance crumbled. His body stuttered. Bruce stepped in instantly, catching Seagal's arm to prevent him from crashing face-first into the floor. That one gesture, that moment of pure humility, hit Seagal harder than any kick. Why would you help me?" Seagal snarled. Bruce released him carefully. "Because martial arts is not about destroying others," Bruce replied. "It is about mastering yourself." The room fell silent again. Even the cameras lowered. For the first time in the entire fight, Steven Seagal hesitated. Not from fear, but from confusion. His pride demanded he attack. His body demanded he stop. His mind, clouded with frustration, didn't know what to do. That's when the dojo doors burst open. Bang! Everyone turned. 3 older martial artists walked in. Masters. Legends. Respected by both Bruce and Seagal. Leading them was Master Cido, a man whose presence alone could silence storms. "What is happening here?" Cido thundered. Both Bruce and Seagal bowed immediately. "Master," Bruce said softly. "A misunderstanding." Cido raised a hand. His glare locked onto Seagal. "You challenged Bruce Lee? In front of students? In a place meant for learning, not ego?" Seagal swallowed hard. I was only." "You were reckless," Cido snapped. "And you endangered everyone here." Seagal lowered his head, humiliated again, but this time not by Bruce. The crowd murmured. Master Cido never interferes. This must be serious. He looks furious. Cido turned to Bruce. And you? Bruce, why did you accept? Bruce's eyes softened. To teach, he said. Nothing more. Cido sighed heavily. I know your heart. But even you should choose your lessons carefully. Bruce bowed. Then something unexpected happened. Cido walked past Bruce and approached Seagal, slowly, sternly. He placed a hand on Seagal's shoulder. Steven, you have incredible strength, but you lack inner stillness. You cannot overpower your own anger. Seagal's eyes twitched. I just wanted to prove. You wanted to prove yourself to the wrong person. Then Cido said something that made everyone gasp. You think Bruce used full power? He hasn't even used 10%. Seagal froze. The crowd whispered feverishly. What? 10%? No way, then what was that kick? Seagal stared at Bruce, his expression shifting from anger to shock to something unexpected. Respect. Real respect. Bruce, Seagal said quietly. You held back. Bruce nodded. I did not want to injure you. Seagal blinked, swallowing pride like it tasted bitter. And, earlier, Seagal continued hesitantly. You helped me up. Bruce simply smiled. Humility. Compassion. Even toward an opponent who came at him with ego and rage. The room absorbed that lesson deeper than any punch. Seagal looked away, ashamed. Master Cido, he began, voice trembling. But Cido raised a hand again. This fight is over, the master declared. Steven, bow to Bruce. Seagal flinched. His pride screamed in no. But the weight of his mistakes pressed down on him. Slowly, painfully, Steven Seagal bowed. Not fully, not gracefully, but enough. The dojo erupted in murmurs. Bruce bowed back without hesitation, a gesture of equality, not victory. And then came the twist no one expected. Master Cido stepped between them. Everyone here, listen carefully, he announced. You witnessed a clash of skill, but the true battle was never between their fists. He pointed to Bruce. This man fought with discipline. Then he pointed to Seagal. And this man fought with ego. He raised his voice, echoing through the hall. Let today be remembered not as the day Seagal was defeated, but as the day Seagal began to learn. Seagal's eyes widened. His breathing slowed. For the first time, the anger faded. He looked directly at Bruce. Teach me, Seagal whispered. The entire room fell silent. No one expected that. Bruce studied him for a moment, then nodded with a humble smile. Only if you're ready to listen, Bruce replied. Seagal bowed again, deeper this time. And Bruce extended his hand. The fight was over, but something much bigger was about to begin.